Students, today we can see the topic biodiversity conservation. Now, why should we conserve biodiversity? See, there are many reasons which we can say why we should conserve biodiversity. All these reasons can be grouped into three categories. What are the three categories? One is narrowly utilitarian, another is broadly utilitarian, and another one is ethical. So first, when we see about the narrowly utilitarian, this narrowly utilitarian argument says that humans derive a lot of economic benefits from nature, isn't it? We derive a lot of benefits from nature. So what are those benefits which we get from nature? One is food. We get different varieties of food, isn't it? Like cereals, pulses, fruits or vegetables, spices, etc. All these we get from the plants which are there in the nature, isn't it? Then we get firewood. For fuels, we are getting firewood, then fiber we get, then various construction materials we get, which we use for construction purposes, whether a building we are constructing or any other constructions we do. For that, so many materials we can get it from the nature, isn't it? Then industrial products like tannins, lubricants, dyes, resins, perfumes, etc. All these are industrial products which we get from nature. Tannins are substances produced by the plant, especially from the bark of the trees or wood, leaves, sometimes bud, etc. So these parts will be secreting certain chemicals which we say it as tannins, which is mainly used for tanning leather. Okay, so that is one of the industrial product which we can get from the plants. Then lubricants we can get. The lubricants will be having more amount of oil in it. These are also secretions of plants only, which contains more amount of oil, which can be used to reduce friction. Okay. Then dyes, coloring material, that is dyes we can get. Resins we can get. Resins normally used in varnishes, or it can be used as adhesives also. Then perfumes with a different aroma, isn't it? So all this we can say it as industrial products. So all these benefits we are getting from the nature. Okay, and in addition to all this, many medicinal products also we can get it from the nature or from the plants. Okay. And it is also said that more than 25% of the drugs which are currently sold in the market are obtained from about 20,000 species of plants. Okay. So this 25,000 species of plants contribute to the traditional medicines which are used by the people around the world. Okay, so about 25% of drugs are obtained from 25,000 different species of plants. Okay, and see, if we are going into the tropical rainforest, there may be even so many plants said to be explored or discovered, so that they may also be having various medicinal properties, isn't it? So we can say the nations which are having rich biodiversity can reap enormous benefits from the biodiversity. Okay, so this is about the narrowly utilitarian. Okay, now next is broadly utilitarian. So when we talk about the broadly utilitarian argument, it says that the biodiversity plays an important role in many ecosystem services. Okay, that the nature is providing to us. So what such services are provided by the ecosystem, okay, or by the nature to us? So when we see, if you take the example of the Amazon rainforest, it produces by photosynthesis, it is producing the food, isn't it? And it provides, as a result of this photosynthesis, it provides about 20% of the total oxygen. the oxygen which is present in the Earth's atmosphere, in that 20% of the total oxygen is contributed by the Amazon forest. So you can imagine how much economic value is provided by such nature, isn't it, or such a forest to the nature, isn't it, to our biosphere. Can you understand? About 20% of the total oxygen in the Earth's atmosphere is produced by the plants as a result of photosynthesis, as a byproduct in the Amazon rainforest. Okay, then even you can imagine how much money we are spending for the oxygen cylinders in hospitals, isn't it? So can we give such an economic value to the nature? Nature is giving us a lot of oxygen. So economic value is there for the oxygen which is produced by the plants in the forest, isn't it? Now another important one is the pollination. So without pollination, we may not be able to get the food what we eat, isn't it? So the food which we eat, mainly the cereals, pulses are there. All the seeds are produced as a result of fertilization. So for fertilization to take place, pollination should be there. You know what is pollination? Transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the flower. So for that pollination to take place, a lot of pollinating agents are there, isn't it? And especially when we see the biotic agents, we can say different varieties of insects and other organisms can help in pollination. Okay, so for example, bees are there, bumblebees are there, then wasp is there, moth is there, butterflies are there, isn't it? Birds are there, bat is there, even human being is also responsible for what? Pollination. Okay, so many insects and animals are there which act as pollinators. So this pollination, we are not telling them to do it, they are doing by themselves, isn't it? So pollination is another service which the ecosystem is providing. Because of that, we are able to get different varieties of food products, isn't it? So that is another value. Now next we can say under broadly utilitarian, aesthetic pleasure is also obtained, isn't it? See, we all enjoy nature, isn't it? No one will be there who hate the nature. We all love nature, isn't it? So it gives us pleasure. Aesthetic value means what? It gives pleasure or enjoyment. Okay, so when we are walking through the thick woods in the forest, or we are watching these flowers in the spring season, you can see different varieties of different colorful flowers will be blooming, isn't it? So watching that spring flowers in full bloom, or waking up to a bulbul song, all these give us aesthetic pleasures, isn't it? We enjoy that. Okay, so these are all some of the broadly utilitarian arguments. Okay, now the last one is ethical. Okay, see, the ethical argument for conserving biodiversity relates to what we owe, what the people owe to millions of plants, animals or organisms, even microbe species with whom we are sharing this planet. Okay, so we can say there is a need to realize that, we should realize that each and every species is having its own intrinsic value. What is intrinsic value? Intrinsic value means the value in itself. That is, it is having its own value, isn't it? Each and every organism, whether it is a plant or an animal or a microbe, is having its own intrinsic value. Even if it may be of current value or any economic value is there to us, each and every organism is having its own value. Okay, so we have our own moral duty. We have the moral duty to care for the well-being of this organism, whether it is a plant or animal or microbe. We are having the duty to care the well-being of this organism and pass these biological legacies, that is the living organisms that survive, in good order to the future generation. Okay, so we have to pass this to the future generation. It is not that we have to utilize the benefit from the present organism and leave them as such or destroy them. It is not like that. Each and every organism is having its own intrinsic value. So it is our moral duty to take care of these organisms, and we have to pass it in good order to the future generation. Okay.